Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Can Brendan Rodgers, this time tomorrow night, Celtic will be on the pitch, and can Brendan Rodgers get his Honda Civic fired up? Can someone tweak the engine to give it 500 brake horsepower? I know a mechanic in Edinburgh that can, but that's for the actual real car. Celtic boss said he has no regrets over the comment about the Honda Civic. Liam Scales says that, look, as far as he's concerned, he never seen or heard of the comment until he was getting briefed on the interview that he was about to go into. He said, look, you might get asked a question about Honda Civics. And Scales is going, what the fuck? Who the fuck drives a Honda Civic in 2025? But anyway, Liam Scales that he knew nothing of it, and he says that if Brendan Rodgers did say that, he reckons Brendan Rodgers said it because he wants to motivate the players to be a bit faster. Brendan Rodgers said that we don't have the players fast enough on the pitch when you look at the pace of Daizen Maeda, who's out injured. Let's talk about that. So first of all, it was his foot, then it was his hamstring, then it was his foot again, and now it's his lower back. It's a bit strange, that one, isn't it? How do you feel about Daizen Maeda and the ongoing injury list that he seems to be having? I've said it before, players can... A tightening of the back. It's a little bit tight. That doesn't show up on scans. A little bit of a tightening of the hamstring. That doesn't show up on scans. Has Daizen Maeda spat the dummy out? Has he spat the dummy out? We could all look at the Kyogo, and Kyogo was missing golden opportunities in his last 6 months at Celtic. If you look at the run up to the Christmas before he was sold, he was missing chances that he would put away really easy. And you would see Brendan Rodgers on the sideline just having a little smile to himself. Players can do that. You know, players can do that. Players can... the Maeda... Let's get some of the comments up and just see what some people are saying straight off the bat. Maeda ain't injured. He spat the dummy out because he didn't get his move. His carbon copy of the COVID season. Yeah, I pretty much agree with you that he has spat the dummy out, and I think it's terrible that a player is putting a Celtic manager under such pressure. There's not... The last time... I'm going to say the last time that I seen a manager squirming, and I think that that's what Brendan Rodgers was doing today, and nothing to do with the comment that he said about the cars. I think Brendan Rodgers is squirming because that he knows that there's some players that are just not putting in a full shift. Liam Scales even said it. Liam Scales' exact words tonight in the interview that Celtic put out was that some players need to buy in to the way that we play at Celtic. They're not buying into the way that you need to attack from the front, and you also need to defend from the front. Never mind defending from the back four. The way that Celtic have always played is closing down quick. That hasn't happened. Your forward players haven't been closing down quick. And I think that I've got a funny feeling that you may not see Daizen Maeda in a Celtic shirt again. Just with these little injuries that he keeps having, a little tightening of the back. Oh, my back's done. How many's pulled that on a Monday morning going into work when you've been completely hungover? Not that Daizen Maeda's hungover, obviously not. But he's in a place where he doesn't want to be. And that's more than obvious. And Brendan Rodgers is the man that's having to front with it. Lauren, that was an interesting comment. Let me just get Lauren's comment up. Am I a bit encouraged by him saying that he needs to experiment Maybe changes coming tomorrow. Well, when you look at it, I think that there will be changes coming, because he did say in the interview that Sturm Graz play in a diamond formation when they play domestic football, but when they play in the Europa, they play a 4-2-3-1 formation. And I think Brendan Rodgers will meet that with a 4-2-3-1 formation. I think he will settle for that formation tomorrow. That'll be the change. You never know, he might go 2 up front. I doubt it. I think there's more chance of him trying to be a bit more savvy in midfield, so that you'll see someone else sitting beside Callum McGregor just to make it a little bit more solid. Whether we can do that with the current players, Diva says that I'm sorry, but I'm dreading tomorrow. A lot of Celtic fans are dreading tomorrow. I'm dreading it because I think that we're in a place that we don't really want to be in. And I feel for Brendan Rodgers. I mean, there was somebody on the channel last night that I'm a Brendan Rodgers apologist. If you don't want the Celtic manager to do well, there's something wrong with you. I've said since day one that Brendan Rodgers would be here for the 3 years, and I still believe that. You know, and I still said, I mean, it's on many videos on this channel, I did say that I want Brendan to walk away after the 3 years with a treble and his head held high. And then the supporters will go, that's fine. He did what he said he would do. Come in for the 3 years. But what it does do is it puts Celtic under a bit of an issue, because we are a little bit ill-prepared, it looks from the outside. It looks like we're a little bit ill-prepared when you look at the manager position. There's not often that a club, if the club knows that Brendan Rodgers is not going to be here, I mean, we're talking about stuff that may or may not happen, but you would expect the club to come out with a short list of potentials. Paddy Burns says Rodgers is not up for it, time for change. Okay, who do you bring in, Paddy? Because I'm not going to go over old ground. I don't think that this is the right time to change a manager. What manager would come into the club? Tell me in the comments, Paddy. Tell me in the comments what manager would come into the club where the fans are fighting against the board. Because I can't think of any manager that will want to take that on. If you think that if you think it was funny that they got knocked back for manager after manager after manager, what manager will want to come in when the fans are fighting the boards and they don't agree with it? Tell me in the comments, please. No more bouncy balls. Brendan moaning about the speed on the pitch but refusing to play Yamada, who's also being told by several Japanese sport analysts he can run as fast as Maeda. Maybe he isn't doing it on the training pitch, Michelle. Do you know? I still think, getting back to the game tomorrow, no on our board, they'll go for the Irish route again. Robbie Keane. I don't think they'll go with Robbie Keane. I mean, Robbie Keane's done nothing in the game. He's done nothing in the game. We are not hypothetical when it comes to Maeda. We've called him into question. Yeah, we have. I mean, we've called Maeda into question. This isn't the first time. You know, it's not the first time that it's been called into question, his attitude. But we'll leave it at that. We need to focus on the players that we do have tomorrow evening. And the players that we do have tomorrow evening, we all know who they are. Will Brendan Rodgers make changes? But the question is, as of today, are Celtic really in crisis? I mean, we're talking about a manager who's lost one game. Now, I'm old enough. Thank you to Wee Mitch. Sorry for the negativity, guys. I'm not confident. I thought he's not confident for tomorrow at all. I can never think of a manager at Celtic that's only lost the one game, and that has put us in crisis. And I think that the negativity around the current situation that's going on, and Brendan Rodgers speaking in his interview tonight about the motivation that he has. Do you know, one game, we've lost one game. this season. We've drawn 2 and lost 1. But in some books, in some fans, and the modern day fans' eyes, we're in crisis. Crisis. And this is the issue that we have. But anyway, it's not just the Dundee game, you know it. Yeah, performances, yes. But the fact that we've only lost the 1 game. We've lost over 5 games since Bayern. When was the Bayern game? That was in February. We're in October. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to... Check your WhatsApp. Baz stopped the Zoom calls and sound effects. Team's performance dropped. I stopped the Zoom calls because the channel views went down after it. But anyway, 5 domestic games since January, February. Anyway, it's that time of the week where we need to look at the game tomorrow. So even though Brendan Rodgers is unapologetical about his comment about the one and only Ferrari versus a Honda Civic, with the Honda Civic revving up at Celtic Park tomorrow, who will be in the team and what is your predicted score line? I'm going to go for a Celtic win tomorrow. Rodgers refused to give Lagerbielke and Rocky a chance either when we needed them. Both decent players. He banished them to the wilderness, says Michelle. Yeah, he did. But, do you know... Sorry, I'm just replying to someone. Anyway, give me your scoreline tomorrow, because I think that it's going to be 2-0 Sturm Graz. Jesus. Even though the Sturm Graz are having a bit of a wild time themselves, Square Sausage Mick is straight up saying 2-0 Sturm Graz. We're a victim of our own success. Used to winning everything domestically, and at present we're going through a bad spell. Fans making out we have nothing to play for. This is true. 1-1 tomorrow, says Michelle. She's playing safe. 3-0 Sturm Graz. No confidence. Celtic usually win against Austrians at home, and if it's a 2-legged affair, that's when Celtic usually drop points or lose the game. I'm going to go for a Celtic win tomorrow. But James is saying 3-0. He's no confidence. Typhoon McFlustery is going for 1-1 tomorrow. That's an interesting one. Stephen Stewart's going for 2-0 tomorrow. Brendan should try driving a Civic. They're quicker than us, even on 3 wheels. Joseph Davison is going for 2-1. DR's going for 2-0. Scales and Forest. Will Forest even start tomorrow? I don't think so. I didn't think there used to be Honda adverts in the Celtic programmes in the 1994 era. And I know a guy who had a Honda Civic and he had it at 500 brake horsepower. So Brendan needs to rethink his comments. And he's a big Celtic fan as well. Big Celtic fan. Owns a garage just on the outskirts of Edinburgh. Tony's going for 2-1. Sturm Graz. 4-0 for Sturm Graz. 4-0 for Sturm Graz. 2-1 says Tony Stewart to Celtic. Sturm Graz are top of the league, says Square Sausage Mick. Troops have to stick to my start of my season prediction: 5-0 or 3-0. A crisis of confidence. Yeah, I would say there was a crisis of confidence, but I don't think that yet, as we stand here today. I mean, the question is, as of today, are Celtic really in crisis today, as we stand here, the night before a game in Europe? Yes, the fans want change against the board, but are we really a club in crisis? And if it is it a crisis of our own manufacturing? Someone like that. But sometimes you have to create a crisis to get change, some people will say. So crisis is good. It's about how you manage the crisis and how you manage change. Interesting thought line on the agendas at play. But Edward says he reckons it's a crisis of confidence. 94 went in the big European League. Well, yeah, don't even want to think about that. Draw or a defeat, can't see us winning either 1-1 or 2-1 to Sturm Graz. We will get hammered tomorrow. Jeez, the negativity out there is unreal, eh? 2-3 to Sturm Graz, Yang double, 2-3 to Celtic. Or Yang double, and we still get Yang will not play. 1-0 to Celtic. We are not in crisis. Stop the protest marches and take it to the board. Stop the protest at the matches and take it to the board, says Donald Mackey. It's an interesting one this morning. Sturm Graz have won the last 4, says Typhoon McFlustery. 2-1 to the boys, says Paul. Diane's going for 4-1 Celtic. A sloppy 1-0. I've got to put this one up. I'm going for the fans acting like Huns tomorrow, says Big Des. Game tomorrow cancelled due to lack of interest. That will never happen. Too much negativity going on. Yeah, Helen's going for 2-1 Celtic. David's going for 3-1 Celtic. We got a VAR decision in our favour in the game and it changes. Mickey Boy says he'd take a sloppy 1-0 win. My head on the Pat and Mick. Just like most people with their employers don't treat them right. Green, exactly. Do you know, he's just doing what everyone else does when they get pissed off in their jobs and they're trying to find a new job. How many times have you in your job went, fuck it, I'm not going in today, I've got a sore back, go to the doctors, fucking what's the doctor going to do? It's a fucking tightness in the back, I can't move, honestly, I can't get up, it's fucking agony. Take these painkillers, take a week off. And if you can't take a week off, take a big cow. Peter King says it's going to be 0-0. Bookies have us at 8-15 for the win. Sturm Graz at 9-2. Yeah, I mean, one of the Austrian presenters at the news conference tonight, he said in the news in the thing with Brendan Rodgers, that he's, as far as they're concerned, Celtic are favourites. Who the F's going to score for 2 for us is John Scott. Yang starts and then forget it. Yep, Michelle Shaw's going for 2. Big Des, keep the filth away from me. And talking about the filth, can you believe Scottish media? After all the negative connotations on the question and very little about the game tomorrow, it was all talking about, you know, what he said, and this always happens in Scottish football. But the very last question, for a Celtic game in Europe, by the Scottish media, Brendan, what do you think about the new Rangers manager? The fuck? Have you ever known him? Have you ever come up against him? Fucking who cares? Who gives a flying fuck? Do you know what I mean? It's terrible. That tells you everything you need to know about these journalists that go to fucking Celtic Park for the press conferences. You know, they're not interested in Celtic. They're just trying to get their own agenda across the fucking with that lot. Anyway, 3-1 says Danny Cassie. He always goes for 3-1. 2-1 Sturm Graz. Please prove me wrong. Celtic says Billy. Joseph Davis says too much negatives. No confidence in the game tomorrow, says Paul. Or Sunday. We've been playing draws for many weeks. YouTube, the 2 Johnnies, St. Patrick dove a Honda Civic. 2-1 Michelle says, hail, the boys are going for 2-0 Sturm. Jim McClatchy says he can't call it at all. Ask the crisis question after Sundays. It's flying calm. Yeah, but I'm talking today. And I'm well aware of the permutations of if we get beat tomorrow night and we get beat on Sunday, then yes. But as it stands today, There's a lot of headlines out there saying that that we're in crisis. There's a lot of fans, media saying that we're in crisis. And we're not yet. But if you want us to be in crisis, the best way to get Celtic in real crisis is talking about them being in crisis. I said this last night. If you want something to happen, you can certainly make it happen. Breaking news, Cormac has been practicing pointing the finger all week. You could be in trouble tomorrow. They're a very well drilled team. Yeah, I think so. Of course we're in crisis. Jesus, where have you been, Gaz? I don't know who Gaz is, but I'll ask him when I find him. They figure out we're making midfielders need to step in with a few goals. It's not just midfielders. If attack plays tomorrow, then God help us. The Japanese use the same word for crisis as they do opportunity. Tarmac, Baz, why don't you IA? Same crisis year after year. We'll know by 8:05 tomorrow for the winning team or losing. Yeah, I think you will know. Well, maybe not. No, we're all overreacting. We need to chill a bit. It can't be perfect all the time. We're going through a bad patch and we'll come out of it again like we always do. I think the last time that we were really in a bad patch was under Tony Mowbray. If somebody can correct me in the comments, I mean, we're in a crisis under Ronnie Dyler. No. We were in a crisis under Neil Lennon in the COVID year. I would say yes. I can't think of any manager since, I would say that Tony Mowbray would be the last manager that was in real crisis at Celtic Park. We'll take away the 2020 season, because that was a crisis that we didn't really manufacture. Lennon, when we played Cluj, but we weren't. Was that a crisis? Was the manager on the verge of being sacked? Were the fans one game away? Because I think that the fans are 2 games away from turning on Brendan Rodgers. COVID season was pure pish. Yeah, but nobody really wanted Neil Lennon as manager that season. Do you know, we've went into this season, and before Tony Mowbray it was Douglas and Barnes. Yeah, you're right, mate. And I don't think that we've been in real crisis. If you think that this is a crisis at Celtic, dear God. Do you know, Mowbray was terrible. You could see what was happening. You could see that there was no confidence there. Losing 4-0 at St Mirren on a Wednesday night. That was the last step for anybody. I don't know, it was terrible. Douglas and Barnes was just as bad. Do you know, Barnes was never a manager. He should never have been anywhere near Celtic. David says, correct, Baz, when St Mirren beat us 4-0, Mowbray got sacked. Yeah, he did. He got sacked. But we're continuously shite. Now, fair enough, we've been continuously shite. But we've only drawn 2 games and we've only lost 1. And it's only the beginning of the season. A lot of fans don't want Rodgers, never mind 2 times. Yep, Brendan Rodgers joined in 2017. Not sure his record in Europe is dismal. Last year was okay. Douglas should have been the manager and Barnes is number 2. Yeah, he was. He should have. Because let's face it, Douglas got us to winning a trophy that year. You know, and I think that we could have won more. I like Big Mogger, but he didn't have a clue. Yeah. John Basson left us and then got a number hit. The only way is up. David Grant says, the board didn't know who to appoint when Rodgers left, so we took Lennon back. The league was already won, really. Yeah, but then giving Lennon the job on a full-time basis for the most important season of Celtic's life, I can understand why in case you're... I mean, there was no fan when we got told over the radio, when everyone was back in their buses, that Lennon got the job for the next season in the showers by Lawwell. It was horrifying. Nobody wanted Lennon for the 10. Nobody. Do you know, even though we changed things around and we started off that season well, you have to admit the similarities between Coven's season and the current Baz, especially on the recruitment side of things. Yes, yeah. And when you've got players that are, I'm going to call Dyson Maeda feigning injury. I think that this guy is faking an injury. Because it was his foot, it was his hamstring, now he's got a tightness on the back. Yeah, whatever. Let's see how fit he gets in December when there's a transfer window just around the corner. Yeah. Just imagine, yeah, there's the best one. Yeah, imagine social media when Lou Macari was in charge. God, mate, could you imagine if there was social media when Lou Macari was in charge? Do you know, you would... oh, the internet would just break. Morgan invented the huddle. Yeah, he invented the huddle, but then he invented Celtic into playing really shite. Baz, when your team can be potentially 11 points behind the Huns and out the cup in November, that's a crisis. Potentially we can go out and win tomorrow and put out a performance that Brendan Rodgers has been looking for. Potentially we could go out and go to Hearts and win like we've done many times before. And then where do you go from then? Do you say, oh, it was a blip and you're just pushing it down the line? Because I think that there's a lot of people wanting Brendan Rodgers sacked. I think there's a lot of people now that are 1 game away or 2 games away from wanting that change. And my fear is when you bring in another manager, he's got to deal with the exact same stuff. He's got to deal with, say, right, okay, right, Typhoon McFlustery. We get to November. We get beat by Rangers. That's the last straw. The fans want Rodgers gone. You've still got Dyson Maeda. You've still got Yang. Unhappy at the club. Not want to play for the club. Not want to put in a performance. Do you know? Who comes in and who changes that? Who makes that better? Because I can't see anybody. And don't say it's Big Ange. Because if going back for Brendan Rodgers was a mistake, going back for Ange is just as big a mistake, as far as I'm concerned. And it won't happen. Hopefully Kells gets some... Bad, the boards have sacked him already by not backing him. Wake up. Release on Sunday, we're 8 points behind them. If the Jazz win, they'll be 5 points behind us with a better manager in Danny Rowe. A better manager than Danny Rowe. Oh, it's all gone Pete Tong tonight, isn't it? Right, let's finish up this poll because are Celtic really in crisis today? Was the question. Yes, 63%. 37% say no. Thank goodness that there was no social media around back when we were really in crisis. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.